Oh, awesome. Well, my name is Darin, and I'm the worship director here. But I get to preach. I have the privilege and honor of preaching every once in a while. And so whenever I do, I'm so excited to open the Lord's word to us, and just trust that He's going to do amazing things as we press into it. I love that song. It's called "All Is for Your Glory," and we're going to be doing it a lot as we're going into this new series. I think it's just, we're like going down a road. That's pretty cool. We're journeying down the road. I saw it out in the corner of my eye. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? But no, we're going on a journey with the Lord. And what I love about that song is it's the revelation of Jesus and who He is, what He's going to do, what that means for our lives, and then our response in light of that. It's an amazing, awesome thing to be able to do, and so I just encourage you guys to step into that. But we're entering into a new sermon series. You saw the Emmaus Road, and what is happening in this sermon series is we want it to be a revelatory journey of Jesus and who He is, what He has for our lives, the things that He teaches, the way He taught and lived with others around Him, how He treated people. We want to learn from Him, and we want to be on this journey with Him. That's what the Emmaus Road is all about. And maybe you're like, Emmaus Road, what is that? Is it one of those little small streets that goes off of Gun Lake, all those like little tiny roads that you've never heard of? Yeah, no, the Emmaus Road was a road in the Bible that went to the city of Emmaus. And why it's so famous and why we are still talking about it to this day is because in Luke 24, this amazing thing happens. Jesus shows up to two of His disciples who are walking along this road going to the city of Emmaus. And as He comes up to them, they don't recognize who He is, but Jesus senses their questions and their concerns, and the Messiah said He was going to do these things, and Jesus, some people are saying that He rose from the grave, but I don't believe it. I don't know if I can really trust that, if that's reliable. They have a lot of these questions in their minds, and so Jesus senses that, and He Himself walks with them all the way to the city, and while He's doing that, He explains the scriptures to them. All the things that Jesus, the Messiah, fulfilled. And as they get to the city, He comes into their house, they share a meal together, and as they're doing this, He's teaching them, and in an instant it said they recognized that it was Jesus, but then He vanished from their sight. I don't know why this happens. It's a very dramatic thing, but the one thing that I want to stick with us through this series is their response to His teachings. They said, as He was opening the scriptures to us, were not our hearts burning within us? Were not our hearts burning? There's a passion. There's something that's alive. There's fuel to the fire. There's something that was happening there inside of them that they knew that was special. There was a revelation that Jesus gave to those two disciples that day, and it changed their lives. And so I want us to come into this sermon series with that same mentality. Lord, You are the God of the universe. You hold all things in Your hands. I want to go down this journey with You. But maybe you're also here this morning and you're saying, I feel like I'm like those disciples who were on the road to Emmaus. I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of doubts. I see things going on in the world or in my own life, situations, circumstances that bring me to my knees where I'm just like, God, are You real? Do You care? Can I go through my life trusting you as Lord? I hear these people saying these things, but are you really who you say you are? You see, this is a journey we're going on in our lives. It doesn't matter if you've walked with the Lord for 80 years or if you're here for the first time hearing about Jesus today. The road is for all of us to go along, the Emmaus road. Jesus wants to bring us alongside. He wants to speak to us. He wants to bring us closer to himself. We want to walk with Jesus, see him more. And so I want to ask you this morning, where are you at in your Emmaus road? Are you at a place where you have questions? Or are you at a place where, hey, I've been walking for a while. Jesus, I need you to reveal yourself more. Are you willing to keep walking down that road? That's going to dictate how we approach these scriptures. And so I want to just invite you, wherever you're at in that journey, this series is for you. We're all on this journey together, and so let's explore the scriptures. We're going to be in Luke 5 this morning. And as we're going through this series, it's the Emmaus Road that covers all of this. But each week we're going to be looking at a different story in the Gospels where Jesus shows himself or reveals himself in new ways. We're also going to be looking at revelations that people had about Jesus. And so this morning we're looking at this man named Simon. You might know Peter. Jesus is going to change his name to Simon Peter. But we're looking at this story from his lens. We're putting ourselves in his shoes, how he would have perceived and seen the things going on around him. And we're going to let that impact our lives here today. And so Luke 5, we're going to start right in verse 1. One day, as Jesus was standing by the lake of Gennesaret, the people were crowding around him and listening to the word of God. He saw at the water's edge 2 boats left there by the fishermen who were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and asked him to put it out a little from shore. Then he sat down and taught the people from the boat. So, in this day and age, in Jesus' time, rabbis would have been very highly esteemed, respected people within society. Jesus was a rabbi. And so, as would be accustomed, whenever they were teaching, wherever they were, they deserved respect, and people listened to them, and people accommodated them, and people helped them. And so, as we're coming into this story, Peter had probably heard of Jesus. Peter had maybe heard some of the rumors of miracles he was doing or things he was performing. He would have been very curious of who Jesus was, but he just got off of his shift. They said they were there mending their nets. They had been fishing all night, but he hears Jesus teaching. Jesus approaches him, asks him to use his boat, and so as would be a custom, what would have been expected, like, okay, yeah, like I'm gonna accommodate the rabbi's wishes. He can preach from my boat. I'll listen to him. I'll go out there. This would have been a very much like, great job, Peter. Like, pat on the back from your grandma. Man, tell my wife when I get home, like, the rabbi taught from my boat today. Like, this is very just like culturally accustomed thing. I think a lot of times we get these images in our mind, or like old TV shows, where it's like, may I step into your boat, and like, yes, you are the Lord, and like it's just this great grand thing. That keeps coming on. This great grand thing but this was a very culturally accustomed thing that Peter was stepping into. How have we culturally accustomed Jesus? Do we see him just as a rabbi, or do we see him as greater? You see, there's plenty of people who accept Jesus as a great teacher or a prophet. There's even other religions that consider Jesus himself a prophet. is that the angle we come at Jesus from? Okay, hey, I respect his teachings. Hey, maybe I come to Sunday morning church services. Maybe I'll even serve on a team every once in a while or do different things, help out at a soup kitchen or, like doing those good things that like grandma would pat me on the back for. Are we leaving Jesus just at that place? And we're not digging in or wanting or searching or going down that road to experience more. It's a challenge for us. But the way Jesus keeps revealing himself to Peter is what I hope happens for us this morning, whether you're here, whether you're watching online, wherever you are hearing this message. What Jesus is going to reveal as we keep walking through the scriptures is going to show how we respond to that. We're not just going to leave him as a rabbi. And so let's keep reading verse 4 where I left off. When that's Jesus, had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into deep water and let down the nets for a catch." Simon answered, "Master, we've worked hard all night and haven't caught anything. But because you say so, I will let down the nets." So I think we get a little bit of a glimpse, a view of Peter the professional, the fisherman, the guy who's just finished a long evening shift, had a really bad night, didn't catch a single fish. When you have like a bad day at work and it's just like, gosh, nothing is going right and I've made these mistakes and people been treating me poorly, or I don't know what causes a bad day at work for you. But like the last thing you want at the end of one of those days is for someone to be like, hey, like let's do a little bit more. You're like, no, I want to put on my Snuggie and go curl up on my couch and drink a warm cup of tea and cry. No. We naturally as people, when hard things like this happen, that generally isn't our response. But that's a very key word. But it's this little, think of like the hinge of a door. We say like we want to open our lives to things, or we want God to open doors or to move in certain ways. Think of like a hinge of a door opening. Jesus allows room for Peter by how he responds when he says this word. We worked all night, but because you say so. It's just opening that door just a little bit. It's that hinge that opens up room for Jesus to reveal himself just a little bit more. That's the obedience before understanding. That's the saying, I might not have all the answers, but there's a possibility, God, you do. I may be struggling with and facing these things in my life and unsure and doubting, and gosh, God, you don't know what I've done. You don't know the places I've been, the things I've thought, the people I've been with. Are you sure? But because you say so, we're opening that door just a little bit for Jesus to reveal himself, to bring us along the road. But because you say so, and this unlocked an opportunity for Peter he wouldn't have had otherwise. I want to ask you that question this morning. Are you willing to take one more step with Jesus? Even if maybe it feels silly. Maybe even if you've lost hope. Maybe even if you're doubting or questioning. I fished all night, but here's my life. Continuing in verse 6, this is what happens when he opens that door. When they had done so, they went out, they put their nets down. They caught such a large number of fish that their nets began to break. So they signaled their partners in the other boat to come and help them. And they came and filled both boats so full that they began to sink. When Simon Peter saw this, he fell at Jesus' knees and said, "Go away from me, Lord. I am a sinful man." For he and all his companions were astonished at the catch of fish that they had taken. And so were James and John, the sons of Zebedee, Simon's partners. This catch is overwhelming. This isn't just simply provision of like, okay, hey, we caught a couple fish. Like, okay, hey, thanks, Jesus. Like, I've got, bread on my table now. Like, no, this was a revelation. This was a spectacle. This was something to be seen that was amazing. We already know that it was broad daylight. There were people that had surrounded the lake. There's a lot of people observing this. This would have been like nothing they had ever experienced before. 2 boats completely full of fish, sinking that they were so full of fish. This was revelation that something different was happening. Jesus wasn't just a rabbi. He wasn't just a good teacher. He was somebody who was stepping in power. But what I love Peter's response here, because it's when that revelation starts to happen that we begin to fully see our place, who he is compared to who we are. And that causes a response from Peter. He falls down at his knees and says, like, "Lord, get away from me. Like, I do not deserve to be in your presence. God, you don't know what I've done and the things I've thought. You don't know what I'm going through right now. And like, I do not deserve to be with you or in your presence." There's a response that comes from Peter's heart when he realizes who Jesus is. Like that song we sang right before the message, like realizing who Jesus is and then letting our response come from that. It shapes so much of who we are. This isn't just some one-off experience. It's an identity collision where Peter is forced to see who he is, and he's revealed and in a way forced to see who Jesus is and grasp that reality. There's a revelation that happens here. Continuing in verse 10, the part that we haven't read of verse 10 yet. Then Jesus said to Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you will fish for people." So they pulled their boats up on shore, left everything, and followed him. Don't be afraid. From now on, you will fish for people. Jesus doesn't just perform a miracle. So, man, look at what I can do, like high, lofty, powerful. Peter calls him Lord. But in the revelation of who Jesus is, he gives him purpose to flow out from it. It isn't just left empty. There is purpose that flows from a reality of encountering a revelation of who Jesus is that gives purpose. You see, if Jesus is just a rabbi, I should view him as a teacher. If he's a miracle worker, I should consider him powerful, otherworldly. If he is Lord, I should consider him someone who's worthy of me surrendering to him. But here's the difference is there's all kinds of people who have power and lost it over people and control and dictate and have others submit to their lordship. But this is where Jesus is different. As he, like the disciples on the road to Emmaus, he comes and he walks alongside and says, "Okay, because of that, walk with me. Let's go on that journey together. And he gives purpose. Jesus, the purpose giver, someone who is worthy of following. A purpose giver isn't just a Lord. There's someone who's worthy of us giving our lives towards. That changes everything. Peter leaves. He goes, he didn't expect this. This is one of those things where Peter did not wake up that morning and say, okay, yep, not going to be going home tonight. My life's going to look completely different. Never going to go fish again. Peter's life changes in an instant. But I think this is important. Peter isn't completely changed in that moment. He has a lot of stuff to work through, and there's still questions, and there's still doubts, and there's still moments where he fails. Clear up to the night, even after walking with Jesus for over 2 years in ministry, he still denies him the night that he's crucified. Think about that. Again, discipleship is a journey. It's something that takes out and walks, but that as we trust Jesus to bring that revelation, he continues to connect with us, to bring us along and pull us back to himself and his heart, and showing us his ways, teaching us his kindness, showing us more of who he is in light of the gospel. The Emmaus Road is a progressive revelation, walking, failing, learning, bringing our whole lives, the good, the bad, the right, the wrong. Jesus coming and stepping alongside those things, us hungering to see more of what he has for us. That's going to change everything. When we don't just view Jesus as a rabbi, not just as a powerful miracle worker, not just as a Lord, someone who's high, lofty, far away, but somebody who wants to give our lives purpose. That encourages us and it spurs us to step into things more deeply. You see, it's really easy to chase those experiential moments, or the conference high, or the emotional experience where God just really met me in this moment, and I'm so passionate, and I'm hungry, and I'm fired up for the word, and I'm listening to worship music every single moment that I can, and this is just great. But what about the moments when we fail? What about that long grind of life and the mundane and the things that are coming up? And I haven't opened my Bible in months. I have questions. I doubt a lot of the things that Jesus says. Or, this worship team was up there singing these things on stage, and no, this series is for everyone. Jesus wants to bring you alongside in his teaching, in his being a rabbi, in his being loving and kind, being a Lord, being a miracle worker, being a purpose giver. He wants to transpose that onto you. He wants to bring you alongside him along the Emmaus Road to teach you, to bring you more of what he has for your life. And so I think there's two people, I'm closing my message here with this, but I think there's really two different types of people that this sermon series is for. And all of us fall into one of these categories, maybe in multiple ways. But the first type of person that I believe this series is for those of you who are I haven't gone to Jesus as Lord or purpose giver yet. I see him as a good teacher. I think maybe I believe some of the miracles that he did or the accounts of him. But, to be honest, I have a lot of doubts in my mind. There's a lot of questions I still have. And I'm not sure. Is this reliable? Is this faithful? I hear these people saying these things, but they're doing other different things with their life. These Christians, they're hypocritical. Why would I trust them? Why would I enter into community with them? Maybe you have those doubts and those questions and those fears, and it's just a happen chance that you're here at church today. This series is for you, and you belong here, and I'm so glad you're here, that you're listening to this, because we're all on a journey. I am no better than anyone else. No one in this room is better than anyone else. We are all on a journey, and that's going to continue until the day that either we die or Jesus comes back. We're all on a journey together, and so this is the perfect place for you. I just want to encourage you through this series. Dive in. Maybe open the door up, that the hinge of the door. Open that up just a little bit more to say, God, what might you say to me? Or what things might happen if I follow you more, God, or try to pursue a relationship with you? What would that look like? The second type of person that I think this series is for is you've been walking with